Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us Anna Mihalceanu. Did I almost get that right?
Yes, yes, perfect.
Okay, Anna Maria. Well, Anna Maria, welcome. Anna is the co-founder of Bucharest Software Craftsmanship Community, and she's presenting at DevNexus. So it's So first things, you're presenting about, yeah, I think the title of your topic is Monitoring Distributed Java Applications at Scale. So how did you come up with the idea of presenting this?
Well, the idea came after talking a bit with my friends, and also after observing a lot that in the industry, people have went with the distributed architectures and commonly known as microservices. And they have faced several, let's say, not so nice aspects of it, like the ability to have global view or a unified view of what's happening in your system.
Mhm.
So, I mean, when you're starting a development of one single application, it's easy. When you go with two, is again easy. And when you go to an entire ecosystem of mini applications, each of them doing their own thing, and of course, when you're going to higher environments and that gets scaled,
Mhm.
it's a total different story. And when you are receiving like a notification from such a complex environment, with scaled applications saying, hey, this is working, but this thing that is supposed to have the same type of app is not working as good as the other one. Why is that happening?
Mhm.
Or something like, hey, in my region, that works. No, in my region, that doesn't work. But in other regions, it works. I just checked online, and why is that happening? So, like most of the time, when other applications, if you're having a very automated pipeline, can notify you of what's going on, not so good. So if you have like extensive testing and load testing, you can get those ahead of time when it comes to performance. But if you are like, for example, have not used so many things and you just wanted to keep it simple, you might get some notifications from your end users, which is not very nice.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes you're under pressure of solving things. And yes, my idea for the session was more like to give a little grasp on how you can make a small setup for something a little bit more complex than like one single app or two apps that you'd regularly see in maybe in some other presentations or in small blogs on the internet.
Okay.
Informations are there, but sometimes people at work face way more trouble than one single app.
Okay. So when you're talking about microservices and assuming obviously with that containers and managing up the most obvious thing that kind of comes to mind is Kubernetes. So what is it that's not being addressed that you're trying to kind of build an awareness around?
In terms of Kubernetes, everyone is searching for practices for a long time.
Hmm.
There's a lot of content. I can say that Kubernetes.io has a very amazing base for starting with Kubernetes and even for further developing some practices in the team.
Hmm.
But all the time, more tools are coming up. And if you're, for example, working with a dedicated cloud provider, maybe that cloud provider is going to give you their tools. So you're going to learn more tools. And in my session, I just wanted to keep it simple and using tools that are widely found and that you can install simply using operators. You can find their installation guide. It's easy. It's not very difficult. And of course, I wanted to also outline how easy it is to, create things with your tools and to address your certain concerns for your own, let's say, business purposes. Because not every aspect of an application needs very close monitoring. We all know that we want to monitor mostly the risky situations or the most important situations for the users, like, I don't know, buying something, paying for something,
Yeah.
these kind of experiences.
All right. So if you're monitoring, as you're saying, these most critical parts of the application, so you monitor it. In terms of like myself, I mean, I kind of come at it more from the infrastructure level. So you're kind of monitoring your CPU or your storage or whatever. You're talking about it at a higher level. So by doing that, what does this allow you to do? So if you go around monitoring, these particular services, for these.
It allows you to trace better when issues arrive. So
Okay.
by customizing at the application level, starting with the application level, and not just by logging, because sometimes when people are thinking about monitoring, they think, okay, I should put some loggers somewhere.
Uh-huh.
No, it's not just that. It is a little bit more than that. There are tools and there are frameworks, libraries that can help us, and they're very easy to be introduced in the applications. They have a very good documentation, open source. And in my presentation, I made use of those as well, because I wanted to outline the connection that exists between the application part, the code part, and the infrastructure part. They cannot exist like, hey, I just want to customize monitoring from the infrastructure point of view and nothing else at the application level. It helps way better to be able to trace where your request went through when it has to go through multiple places within your ecosystem than just monitoring CPU or memory, because it's way harder just to realize from CPU and memory what exactly was the issue. And of course, by going from log to log file, it's not very pleasant.
All right. Well, it's definitely a very important issue. So is that like just kind of wrap things up? And I'm sure there's so much part to it, so I won't make you repeat your whole presentation. But is there a best practice or two you want to share that when people folks come, they'll be exposed to?
Of course, I'll share some takeaways at the end of the presentation from the things that I've shown. And of course, share some good links that I have inspired myself as well. For example, there are some places for for alerts, for Prometheus alerts. There's a specific link that's pretty popular on the internet. So if you want to set more Prometheus alerts, you can find that there. Grafana alerts are pretty easy to be set up, and I demonstrated that in my talk as well. So I will share the good things that I've also been inspired of, like I've reused things that are available for us, and pretty much kept it to the official channels of Kubernetes and all these things. And I'm pretty pleased to see that the part of monitoring has evolved, it is more closer to the code, so that you can control from the code and you can connect it way better to what you see in the dashboards or in a specific system that you go through to investigate something. Like you're not spending a lot of time to, hey, where are my things? So this from here connects to that from there. And you have a bigger picture with tools like Yaga, for example, for tracing. You can also see sometimes where your request has been through, how many traces are there, and you can match things way more easier and have a nice view as well of where it
Okay,
has been.
excellent. Well, it sounds like a very informative session. We encourage
I hope
the,
so.
oh, sorry, go ahead, excuse me?
I hope so.
Absolutely. And we encourage the viewers out there to actually check it out at DevNexus. So Anna Maria, thank you so much for sharing. And I do have one last question. We were talking
Sure.
just a little bit off camera that you're based in Bucharest. And so one
Yes.
of the questions is, even we're in kind of in this lockdown mode in most parts of the world, if someone was to visit Bucharest, I'm sure there's many things to do, many foods to try. But if there's one experience you would recommend someone to do, what would it be?
Um, that's a tough one.
Mhm.
But I would definitely recommend them to go for a walk around the center of and within the center of Bucharest, because there are many beautiful buildings to see. Of
Uh-huh.
course, you can attend events in other types of entertainment, or you could have. And of course, a lot of places with good food. The traditional food is amazing. So I would definitely recommend to have a walk and just see where would you sit and where would you like to enter to discover more. There's a lot of history here awaiting to to tell its story to the visitors, and I really hope that many more people will come to visit after this entire lockdown is over and we're all healthy.
Absolutely. Okay, well, Anna Mihalceanu, thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you.